Every moment of our lives unfolds like pages in a book we ourselves are writing. The joys that make our hearts soar and the sorrows that bring us to our knees all spring from seeds we planted long ago. This might sound like a harsh judgment at first, like we are being blamed for every painful thing that happens to us. But when we understand the true meaning of this teaching, it becomes the most liberating truth we could ever discover. It means we are not victims of random chance or cruel fate. Instead, we are the authors of our own story, and at any moment we can pick up the pen and begin writing new chapters filled with hope, happiness, and purpose. Buddhism teaches that everything operates according to the law of cause and effect. This law is called karma, and it works with perfect precision, like the laws of nature that govern the rising and setting of the sun. When we plant an apple seed, we get an apple tree, not an orange tree. Similarly, our actions, words, and even thoughts create effects that shape our reality. Nichiren Daishonin explained this principle clearly in his letters to his followers, reminding them that suffering does not come from outside forces punishing us, but from causes we created through our own behavior in the past. This understanding removes the mystery from why bad things sometimes happen to good people. It also removes the unfairness from the equation. We are not suffering because some higher power decided to test us, or because we are unlucky. We are experiencing the natural results of previous actions. The beautiful truth hidden within this teaching is that if we created the causes for our suffering, we also have the power to create new causes for our happiness. We are not stuck repeating the same patterns forever. This is where the practice of chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo becomes a powerful tool for transformation. When we chant, we are not begging some external force to change our circumstances. Instead, we are awakening the Buddha nature within ourselves, the ultimate positive force that has always existed in our lives. This Buddha nature has the power to transform our karma, to change the trajectory of our destiny, and to help us create new causes that lead to joy, peace, and fulfillment. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks. Each rock represents a negative cause we made in the past, perhaps through anger, greed, or ignorance. These rocks weigh us down, making it hard to walk forward in life. Some people try to lighten the load by denying the rocks exist or by blaming someone else for putting them there. But Buddhism offers a different approach. Through our daily practice of chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, we develop the strength to not only carry the backpack, but to gradually transform those heavy rocks into something lighter, even into flowers that beautify our path. We do not erase the past, but we change its meaning and its power over us. The Lotus Sutra, the teaching that Nichiren Daishonin dedicated his life to spreading, reveals that all people possess the Buddha nature, regardless of their past actions or current circumstances. This means that even someone who has created terrible causes in the past has the potential to awaken to their highest self and transform their destiny. The sutra teaches that the Buddha's wisdom is impartial and universal, available to everyone without exception. This is revolutionary, because it means that no one is beyond redemption, no situation is hopeless, and no karma is permanent. Nichiren Daishonin wrote in one of his letters, explaining how the mystic law works like fire that instantly burns wood accumulated over a long time. In the same way, chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo can transform heavy karma accumulated over many lifetimes in a relatively short period. This does not mean our problems magically disappear overnight. What it means is that we begin to see our problems differently. We develop wisdom to understand why they arose. We gain courage to face them head-on. We build resilience to endure difficulties without being crushed by them. And most importantly, we plant new seeds that will blossom into better circumstances in the future. Consider the story of someone who struggles with difficult relationships. Perhaps they find that people repeatedly betray their trust, or that they keep attracting the wrong kind of friends or partners. From a Buddhist perspective, this pattern reflects past causes. Maybe in previous lives or even earlier in this life, this person treated others with disrespect or dishonesty. The current difficulties are effects returning to them like echoes. Without understanding this, the person might feel cursed or might blame others for being terrible people. But with Buddhist wisdom, they can see the pattern as an opportunity. By chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo and making sincere efforts to treat others with respect and kindness now, they begin creating new causes. Over time, the quality of their relationships improves. Old karmic debts get paid off, and new positive connections form naturally. The concept of conscious intention versus blind fate is crucial here. Fate suggests that our lives follow a predetermined script that we cannot change. It paints us as powerless characters in a play written by someone else. But Buddhism rejects this idea completely. Yes, we enter this life with certain karmic tendencies and circumstances based on past causes. We do not choose our parents, our birthplace, or our initial conditions. However, from the moment we begin practicing Buddhism and chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, we take the reins of our destiny into our own hands. We become active participants rather than passive victims. Each time we chant, we make a declaration to the universe and to ourselves. We state that we refuse to be tossed around by circumstances. We announce that we will tap into our Buddha nature and use it to overcome obstacles and create value from any situation. This is conscious intention at its finest. Instead of wondering what fate has in store for us, we decide what kind of life we want to create, and then align our actions, thoughts, and prayers with that vision. We still face challenges because we still have karmic effects from the past to work through. But our attitude toward those challenges changes completely. We stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this and how can I use it to grow?" Gautama Buddha taught about the middle way, the path that avoids extremes. This applies to how we understand karma as well. One extreme would be to obsess over past lives and past mistakes, becoming paralyzed by guilt or fear. The other extreme would be to ignore cause and effect entirely, living recklessly and wondering why life keeps punishing us. The middle way acknowledges that yes, we have made causes in the past, and yes, those causes create effects. But it also emphasizes that we have the power to make new causes right now in this moment that will lead to better effects in the future. Buddhism is intensely practical in this sense. It does not dwell endlessly on the past or worry excessively about the future. It focuses our attention and energy on what we can do today. When we chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, we are actually chanting the name of the mystic law itself, the fundamental law that governs all life and the universe. Nam means devotion or dedication. Myoho means mystic law, the unfathomable principle underlying all phenomena. Renge means lotus flower, which symbolizes the simultaneity of cause and effect, because the lotus produces its flower and seeds at the same time. Kyo means sutra or teaching, the sound and vibration that carries truth. By chanting these words, we harmonize our lives with this mystic law. We tune ourselves like a radio, finding the right frequency. When we are in tune, we naturally create better causes because our actions flow from wisdom rather than delusion. Think about how a small shift in direction can lead to a completely different destination. If you are driving from one city to another and you change your direction by just a few degrees, you might end up in a totally different place, hundreds of miles away. Our daily practice works the same way. Each time we chant, each time we choose compassion over anger, each time we act with integrity rather than selfishness, we adjust our direction slightly. These small adjustments accumulate over time, steering us toward a completely different destiny than the one we were headed for before we started practicing. This is not fate. This is not luck. This is the natural result of conscious intention combined with correct practice. Nichiren Daishonin faced incredible persecution during his life. He was exiled, attacked, and nearly executed. According to the law of cause and effect, one might wonder what causes he made to deserve such treatment. But Nichiren Daishonin explained that he willingly took on these sufferings to prove the power of the Lotus Sutra and to show future generations that the law works even under the harshest conditions. He transformed what could have been seen as terrible karma into the greatest benefit for humanity. His persecutions became proof of his teaching rather than evidence against it. This demonstrates an advanced level of mastery over karma, where even suffering is transformed into something valuable and meaningful. We might not face the same dramatic persecutions that Nichiren Daishonin endured, but we all face challenges that test our faith and determination. A serious illness, financial hardship, family conflict, career setbacks, these are the modern-day dragons and demons we must face. When we chant through these difficulties, rather than running from them, we develop what Buddhism calls diamond-like resilience. We prove to ourselves that we are stronger than we thought. We discover resources within ourselves that we did not know existed. And we create tremendous positive causes that will support us not only for the rest of this life, but in future existences as well. The Lotus Sutra contains a parable about a poor person who has a jewel sewn into their clothing but does not know it is there. They wander around begging for food and shelter, suffering greatly, all while carrying incredible wealth on their own body. This jewel represents our Buddha nature, the unlimited potential that exists within each of us. Most people go through life like this poor person, completely unaware of the treasure they possess. They look outside themselves for happiness, validation, and solutions. They pray to external gods, or depend entirely on other people to save them. But when we chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, we finally discover the jewel. We realize that everything we need to transform our karma and create a brilliant destiny has been inside us all along. Understanding that every event arises from causes we once made can initially feel overwhelming. We might look at all the problems in our lives and think, I must have been a terrible person to deserve all this. But this reaction comes from a fundamental misunderstanding. First, not all suffering is punishment for bad behavior. Sometimes we suffer because we are ignorant of how life works, and we make mistakes without bad intentions. Second, even when we did act badly in the past, dwelling on guilt helps no one. What helps is taking responsibility and creating new causes, starting right now. Buddhism is not about shame or blame, it is about empowerment and transformation. Consider the concept of earthly desires are enlightenment, one of the profound teachings found in Nichiren Buddhism. This means that we do not need to eliminate our problems and desires in order to reach enlightenment. Instead, we can transform our problems into the fuel for our enlightenment. Someone struggling with poverty can use that struggle as motivation to develop greater resourcefulness, gratitude, and compassion for others in similar situations. Someone battling illness can use that battle to develop courage, appreciation for each day, and a desire to help others who suffer. The very causes that created our difficulties become the causes for our awakening when we approach them with the right practice and attitude. Another important aspect of karma is that it operates in layers. We have individual karma, the effects from causes we made as individuals. We also have collective karma, the effects from causes we made as part of groups, communities, or nations. When natural disasters strike, or when wars break out, these are often manifestations of collective karma. While we cannot control all the conditions around us, we can control how we respond to them and what new causes we make in the midst of them. A person chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo during a natural disaster might be protected in ways that seem miraculous, or they might suffer loss but maintain hope and strength to rebuild. Either way, their practice ensures they are creating positive causes even in negative circumstances. The question often arises about whether karma is fair. After all, we do not remember our past lives or the causes we supposedly made. How can we be held accountable for actions we do not recall? Buddhism addresses this by explaining that memory is limited to our conscious mind, but karma is imprinted in the deeper layers of our consciousness. Just because we do not remember something does not mean it did not happen or that it has no effect on us. Think about all the things from early childhood that shaped who we are today, even though we cannot consciously remember them. Our personality, fears, talents, and tendencies were all influenced by experiences we may not recall. Karma works similarly, operating at a level deeper than surface memory. What makes the practice of chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo so powerful is that we do not need to know every detail of our past karma to transform it. We do not need to undergo years of therapy analyzing every mistake we ever made. We simply need to chant sincerely and consistently, and the mystic law automatically begins working on our behalf. It is like taking medicine that cures multiple ailments at once without needing to diagnose each one individually. The practice purifies negative karma, strengthens positive karma, and creates new beneficial causes simultaneously. Nichiren Daishonin wrote about changing poison into medicine, a concept that perfectly captures the transformative power of this practice. Things that once seemed completely negative can be transformed into sources of benefit. An addiction that brought someone to rock bottom becomes the wake-up call that leads them to Buddhism and a completely renewed life. A devastating breakup becomes the opportunity to discover inner strength and eventually find a much healthier relationship. A job loss becomes the push needed to pursue a long-suppressed dream. These transformations do not happen automatically or magically. They happen through the combination of our sincere practice, our determined efforts, and the working of the mystic law in our lives. Time also plays an interesting role in karma. Some causes produce effects quickly, while others take much longer to manifest. We might chant for something specific and see results within days or weeks. Other times, we chant for years before seeing the breakthrough we sought. This does not mean the practice is not working. It means that the karma we are transforming is deep and heavy, requiring sustained effort. Nichiren Daishonin used the metaphor of different kinds of illness, requiring different lengths of treatment. A minor cold might be cured in a few days, but a chronic condition requires ongoing care. Similarly, relatively light karma can be transformed quickly, while heavy karma requires patient, persistent practice. This teaching also explains why good people sometimes suffer and bad people sometimes prosper. If someone appears to be living well despite doing harmful things, they might be using up good karma from previous causes while simultaneously creating terrible causes for the future. Conversely, someone who lives virtuously but faces hardships might be working through past negative karma while creating wonderful causes for the future. Buddhist wisdom tells us not to judge based on appearances or on short-term outcomes. The law of cause and effect operates with perfect justice over the long term, across many lifetimes if necessary. When we truly internalize this teaching, it changes how we treat others. If we understand that everyone is dealing with their own karma, their own causes and effects, we naturally become more compassionate. Instead of judging someone for their problems, we recognize that they are experiencing effects from past causes, and we can feel sympathy for their struggle. Instead of envying someone for their good fortune, we can celebrate with them, knowing they must have made positive causes to deserve it. And most importantly, we realize that the best way to help others is to introduce them to this practice so they too can transform their karma and steer their own destiny. The ultimate goal of Buddhist practice is not just to make our individual lives better, though that is certainly a wonderful benefit. The ultimate goal is to develop our Buddha nature to such a degree that we naturally want to help others do the same. This is called bodhisattva practice. A bodhisattva is someone who seeks enlightenment not just for themselves, but for all beings. When we chant with the determination to overcome our problems so we can show others that it is possible, we elevate our practice to this higher level. We transform our personal karma while simultaneously contributing to the transformation of collective karma, creating a ripple effect that spreads outward in waves. Living with the awareness that we are creating our future with every action, word, and thought today is both empowering and sobering. It means we cannot blame anyone else for where we end up. But it also means we do not need to wait for anyone else to give us permission to change. We do not need perfect conditions to start creating a better life. We can start right now, right where we are, with whatever resources we have. The simple act of chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo is itself a profound cause that will produce effects far beyond what we can currently imagine. Each moment of practice plants countless seeds in the garden of our life, seeds that will bloom into benefits we cannot yet foresee. We shift from being passengers in our own lives to being the drivers. We stop letting circumstances push us around and start consciously creating the circumstances we desire. This does not mean we become arrogant or that we deny reality. It means we take full responsibility for our lives while simultaneously maintaining humility and gratitude for the help we receive from others and from the mystic law itself. We recognize that while we are the authors of our story, we are writing it within a larger narrative that includes countless other lives, all interconnected, all influencing each other through the intricate web of cause and effect that makes up the universe.